In my opinion, the effect of this bill is to protect corrupt politicians and to protect corrupt police officers. The jurisdiction of the ICAC has been reduced to almost nothing.
Have you made the ICAC a toothless tiger?
No, it's not acceptable to have a powerful agency in a position to visit reputational damage, harm, financial harm, career damage on not just parliamentarians but 100,000 public servants.
A bill for an act to amend the Independent Commissioner Against Corruption Act 2012.
It took years to get an independent commission against corruption in South Australia, but only one day for the organisation's powers to be curtailed, with the unanimous support of the state's politicians.
Put the question, those opinions say aye, opinions say no. It's carried.
It seems extraordinary that there is no politician in South Australia who had any second thoughts about this. It's very hard to explain it other than that the politicians are acting as in their own self-interest.
I would submit that there was actually the complete opposite of self-interest.
Under the changes, the state's ombudsman will now be responsible for investigating maladministration and misconduct. ICAC Commissioner Anne Vanstone says her ability to investigate corruption has also been limited.
Corruption used to be really just about any criminal offence of any seriousness. That's now narrowed to a handful of offences. So many of the matters that I've investigated since I've been here, I could no longer investigate.
The ICAC will still investigate corruption. The ICAC still has extensive powers to compel witnesses to give evidence, powers to monitor, powers to issue subpoenas, for warrants for search and seizure.
But the Commissioner and her predecessor worry that under the changes, crucial evidence against any politician being scrutinised by the ICAC could be withheld from an investigation through the use of parliamentary privilege.
The Parliament seems to take the view that any document that's tabled in a committee or in either house will not be available to investigative agencies. Well, will not be available to ICAC anyway.
The intent and the purpose of the amendments to the Act are to give further protection to politicians so they can rely on parliamentary privilege if they're investigated.
To suggest that somehow MPs have got an advantage with this Act that they might not have otherwise had is, to be completely clear, utterly false and deliberately so.
Bruce Lander first raised potential issues with accessing documents tabled in Parliament during his investigation last year into the alleged misuse of parliamentary travel expenses. The DPP is considering cases against two unnamed MPs, while another MP, Liberal turned independent Fraser Ellis, is currently contesting charges in court that he allegedly made fraudulent claims worth more than $18,000.
Innocent till proven guilty, and I'm certainly intending to clear my name in the fullness of time.
Fraser Ellis told 7:30 he couldn't comment about his matter while it was before the courts. In relation to the changes to the ICAC Act, he said he wasn't in the chamber when the bill passed Parliament's lower house, nor did he participate in debate.
It was like waiting for a bomb to go off. Doug was reaching his breaking point. He couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep, he would wander the house all night long.
Critics of the ICAC point to Debbie Barr's story about the impact of a 3-year ICAC probe on her police officer husband. Chief Superintendent Doug Barr committed suicide in 2019, days before the ICAC contacted his family to say there was no case to answer.
Doug took his life over this investigation. He did this in our family home.
If you think that what happened to Doug Barr and his family is acceptable, you're part of the ICAC, old ICAC cheer squad. They have been historically poor at securing convictions, but very good at securing damage for those people they think are guilty.
Really, that's a consequence of the criminal justice system. If the matter does go on to a prosecution, and if harm is caused, if an acquittal results, that's really a function of that system. It's nothing to do with ICAC.
During his term as Commissioner, former Judge Bruce Lander oversaw the investigation involving Doug Barr. He says he will respond to the criticisms against him when he fronts a parliamentary committee before the end of the year.
I do need to answer the allegations that have been made, some of which are simply not correct. In a number of respects, it has seriously affected my reputation.
South Australia's ICAC was already seen as one of the most secretive anti-corruption bodies in the nation. Bruce Lander says the changes have made it even more so.
It now constrains the Commissioner from making any comment in relation to a person who is prosecuted for corruption.
The intention of the Parliament was to ensure that people don't have their reputation trashed by an ICAC investigation.
The upshot of all that is that the public will know much less about the work we do. It will be harder to educate the public and indeed show them the value of what we do.
South Australia's Premier Stephen Marshall and State Attorney General Vicky Chapman declined to be interviewed. Despite the changes, Anne Vanstone hopes she'll still be able to do her job effectively.
An ICAC's important because it can ensure that public officers, and by that I mean police and politicians, public servants, always act to the benefit of the public. They don't confuse their own interests with the public interest.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.